go. But all right. Please be joined by Pete Diessner, who was recently named Chief Executive Officer, Minneapolis-based Kraus-Andersen holding company for KA's 127-year-old family of companies. Diessner has been Chief Operating Officer of KA Companies since 2023 and succeeds Bruce Engelsma, who had been CEO since 1997. Engelsma remains chairman of KA Companies and will continue to serve on various committees within the enterprise. First of all, Pete, thanks for joining me today, and congrats on your recent promotion. Tell me about that. How long, I guess, have you been in this new role?
Well, let's see. I think at this point, Brian, we're still counting it by the number of hours as opposed to the number of days or weeks or years. So it's still brand new. But I've been around KA really for my whole life. I joined most recently joined in 2018 and left my legal practice behind to join Kraus-Andersen and so been here for the last 6 years, sort of working towards this milestone. But as I zoom out and zoom back, heck, I was out at the properties pulling weeds and pushing dirt around as a maintenance a person on the maintenance team for the realty group back in the mid 90s and even did a stint out of college here for a minute or two as a financial analyst in what was previously our capital department, selling skid steer loaders to various equipment rental outfits across the greater state of Minnesota. So I've had a few stints here at Kraus-Andersen, but most recently, it's been about 6 years since I came back and kind of call this what I anticipate will be the final career move for yours truly. So.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Sounds like you've worn a lot of hats there with Kraus-Andersen since day one. Can you talk a little bit more about that and kind of how your journey has gone through the years?
Yeah, happy to do that. So Kraus-Andersen is a family-owned company. I happen to be part of the family. My grandfather bought the company in the Depression from Matt Kraus and Amos Anderson and spent his whole life building it up until, as you mentioned earlier, Bruce took it over in the late 90s. And so even as a child, I remember sort of feeling some affection, some affiliation to the Kraus-Andersen shield on job trailers as we were riding around in the family minivan. So Kraus-Andersen has always been a part of my life. And like I said, I did a little things here and there. It was a great job in college. I'd come back on the summers of college and I'd show up on the job site and get assigned various tasks. I remember rolling into a big giant hole in the dirt, and then as I drive away to head back to college, looking in the rearview mirror and seeing this beautiful building that others had built. I was really the one sweeping it up, but I was a part of it. At least I'd like to think I was. So I really always had this special place in my heart for Kraus-Andersen. And when I came back and sort of wasn't sure what I was going to be when I grew up, I ended up going out to law school. And I really liked the finance world, the real estate world. I thought being a real estate lawyer, that's how I'm going to get into this world that I'm so intrigued by, and did that for a little while. But really never quite got the satisfaction as a lawyer that I maybe was looking for in terms of getting into this industry. So it was really part of Bruce and Dan's planning for the future that we started having conversations about, have you ever thought about Kraus-Andersen? Have you thought about working at Kraus-Andersen? And really started rolling that snowball down the hill. And the rest, I guess, is a little bit of history. But it's always been a part of my life. And I just feel so blessed to be here now and making it such a significant part of my life.
So it sounds like this succession plan has been in the works for a while, and you kind of knew you were headed this direction.
Yeah, I don't want to represent to you or anybody that it was a foregone conclusion sort of a thing. I had a personal goal in leaving the law practice behind and joining the company, that one day I'd like to run the company, or at least have a voice or an influence at the table in terms of running the company. So this has been a personal goal of mine, not a foregone conclusion. but certainly part of the plan, as at least as I saw it in the whole grand scheme of making my way back to Kraus-Andersen. Yeah. Yeah.
How long were you on the legal side of the business as a real estate lawyer? And what was
Yeah, so I went to law school over in William Mitchell over in St. Paul, 04 to 07.
Mhm.
Came out in 07 and had a job at Frederickson and Byron. What a great time to be a real estate lawyer, just as the credit markets all came crashing down around us. I remember my boss at the time calling me up and say, look, I know you want to do some real estate transactions and cut your teeth on that, but what do you know about foreclosure work? So,
Oh
so
yeah.
that was a little bit of the introduction to that. That was 2007, 2008-ish. I practiced law at Frederickson, like I said, for about 7 years, and then went out and did my own thing for about 3 years after that. So all in all, probably about a decade as on the practicing law side of the world.
Okay. Well, I would think that would be pretty good preparation for what you're doing now. You've got a pretty a good mix of experience there.
Brian, I'll tell you, I don't know that I ever felt when I was a lawyer that was, that I used to go to lunch with my mom and I'd say to her, I'm still not sure what I want to be when I grow up. But to your point, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Such great training ground. Learned a ton, met a lot of great people, and it did provide a different perspective. Real estate's a team sport, as we all know that. It takes a whole bunch of different folks to make a real estate project successful. So a legal aspect and being able to kind of see some of the different components that help it come together and have the front line on some folks who maybe didn't have the outcome that they had desired through that really challenging time in the 08, 09, 10 timeframe. Learned some valuable lessons vis-a-vis representing clients who were experiencing those valuable lessons along the way. So it was a great training ground, to your point. Yes.
Mhm. And what can you tell us about the outgoing CEO, Bruce Engelsma?
Bruce. So Bruce is actually my uncle. As I mentioned, there's the family connection there. And it's even a little closer than that in that Bruce and my mother are twin brother and sister. And so I've known Bruce my whole life. I mean, I have an immense amount of respect for Bruce. He's very stoic. And he's just a great leader. He's a guy that sort of convinces you to inspire yourself and come up with your own plan. He provides very clear guardrails, but a lot of latitude within those guardrails to operate and make your own mistakes and find your own way through. Um, I'm fortunate. I think the company's fortunate that Bruce is not going away. He's elevating his role to this chairman role now, and I love his line. I'll borrow it. What he likes to say is, "I'm going to be around, but I don't want to be in the way. So help me work through that. We can work through that together." But Bruce he's not only an uncle, he's a mentor, he's become a friend, and he's a trusted advisor of mine. And again, like I said, very fortunate to have him helping through this process along the way. Yep.
And I understand that you're still serving as president of KA Realty and Development. Is that right? And I'm curious how you balance that with your new duties as CEO.
Yeah, so that's correct. So I'm the president of Realty and Development. That's been the role, or I guess one of the roles, one of the hats along the way. But it's a really good question, Brian. Look, I mean, I don't know if I have it all figured out, but I only know what I know and apply what I've picked up along the way. And one of the things from being a lawyer was bill and time. That's what you're selling when you're practicing law. And so you become very acutely aware of how time is being allocated and whether it's being allocated appropriately and efficiently and effectively. And so I take a little bit of the page out of my old lawyer time billing sort of mentality and apply that to this new role to the point where, and look a little bit more about myself, I'm a bit of an Excel nerd. I mean, if I need something to get done in my life, whether it's at work or at home, there's got to be a spreadsheet assigned to it. Otherwise, chances are it's not going to move along at the pace I'd like it to. So what I've done is really broken down the time element of this job on the Excel spreadsheet and then really tried to be very intentional about where to allocate that time and how I can, divide it up amongst the family of companies. We have the holding company and the construction company and the realty company and the development company. We have an insurance company. And so there's a broad spectrum of different areas to focus on. And, a person could drive themselves nuts trying to drill into all the details of all those different businesses. So a big element for me is controlling the time and making sure I'm trying to allocate it appropriately. And when I am allocating it, making sure I'm being effective with that allocation. On top of that, it's the people. Like you said, this is public now and we're saying it out loud and it's very exciting, but it's been part of a long process that we've been planning for this and talking about this and preparing for this for a while now inside the company. And that's given me a great opportunity with the president of Realty and Development hat on to help prepare the business for this step. And so we've done that by elevating really good people into really strong positions that I trust, and we've worked really well together. And I'm really proud of the systems and the processes that we've built in the realty and development business with, from my lens, all with a little bit of an eye towards this moment so that I can continue to provide effective oversight, but be efficient with that enough and try to adopt a little bit of Bruce's mentality of establishing those guardrails and putting the good people we have working in those businesses, within those guardrails and trust them to operate within them. So it's about personally allocating the time appropriately, and then sort of beyond myself, it's the really good people that I rely on in that development and realty business to help me. Because no one man can do it all. There's just no way.
Right. I wonder if you could talk a little bit, just in broad terms, about some of your goals and your vision for the company as CEO.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, Brian, I don't know that I've got them all pinned up on the board and the perfect PowerPoint presentation to tell you exactly what all the goals are, and I guess I'm okay with that. So part of it is learning and assessing and establishing those goals, over time. But going into it, there's some things right out of the gate that I know I put up on the Mount Rushmore of things I want to try to accomplish. I'll quote my grandfather, Lloyd. He had a line that I think is sort of apropos to what we're discussing here. He says, and I'll butcher it, it's something along the lines of, the final measure of success is what you leave behind for others to grow from. And that really resonates with me in this role. I take a very long-term perspective at this company. I understand that my role here, hopefully it's a decade or two or more. But that's just a microcosm of a much bigger organization. Like you said, it's been around for 127 years. And one of the big goals for me is to play a role in setting the company up for the next 127 years and beyond. In addition to that, growth, ambitious growth through market sector diversification, growth through additional services that we're able to provide, not just in the construction business, but across the family of companies. And then growth geographically. We recently expanded down into Arizona, and I think there's more opportunities for us to broaden our footprint strategically over time. And then the last thing I'll say is integration. We have and I know that's a bit of a corporate buzzword, but there's so much more to it from my perspective here at Kraus-Andersen. We affectionately refer to it as the family of companies. We've got a bunch of different complementary companies that we work really well together, and I'm very proud to be a part of leadership teams that do interact and complement each other well, but I also see a heck of an opportunity to really lean further into that integration, both within business units and across business units within the family of companies. So those are some early thoughts here on some big goals, I guess, for the CEO role here.
Well, it sounds like you certainly have a lot on your plate and you have your hands full, but I'm curious what you like to do in what I assume is pretty limited free time.
Yeah, it feels limited at times, that's for sure. Yeah, this reminds me, we had a bit of a town hall the other day, and myself and a few other leaders were standing up and we were asked, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? And so we go down the line, and one guy likes the ATVs, and another guy likes to go boating. And so it got to me, and I'll tell you the same thing I said there. I have 4 children. This is it, Brian. That's my life outside of work. I have 4 young kids. They're all playing sports and they're all developing their friendships and social relationships. And And I'm trying to hang on to being a part of their life as long as they'll have me. So, when it comes to going out, I spend most of my time outside of work with my family and with my
Mhm.
children. I try to play golf. I'm terrible. Anybody that may be listening to this that can attest to that, that's played with me before, can certainly attest to that. But there's not a lot of time for extracurriculars beyond the job and the family. And quite honestly, I'm very content with that.
I think we'll get along great, Pete, because we have a lot in common. I too have 4 kids, and I'm also terrible at golf.
Is
So,
that right? Okay, you're part of the 4 kid club. I love it. There's a few of us crazy people out there.
right, mine are my youngest is 14, and my oldest is be 22 pretty soon. So, just
Oh,
graduating from college actually. So,
wow.
you say yours
Yeah.
are still pretty young?
Yeah, so I have a seventh grader, a sixth grader, a fourth grader, and a third grader.
Oh,
And
wow.
so yeah, we're jammed in there pretty tight, and they're reasonably young. Although I'll borrow my wife's line from the other day, which I just think is so funny. She says to me, it feels like we've transitioned from emotional management or from physical management to emotional management at our house. And that's kind of a perfect way to sum up how I feel like it's going back at home these days. But yeah, that's
I
good to know.
get
Well,
it.
maybe you and I should play some golf together.
Yeah, well, yeah, that would be interesting. Um,
It might take a while. We'll have to make sure
yeah,
nobody's behind us.
right. I actually haven't played in years. But maybe I'll have to take you up on that offer sometime.
I like it.
Um, my son is into baseball. My youngest is he'll be 14 soon, and he plays baseball. So we're looking forward to baseball season.
Yeah, good for you. I just took my son to his first baseball practice. He's 12U right now, and took him to the first
Mhm.
practice last night. And so yeah, I just said to my wife, I gotta find a good chair to go sit at the baseball diamond in this summer. So it's getting to be
Yeah,
that time of year.
nice. Looking forward to that. Hey, what can you tell me? Any particular projects that you guys are working on now that you care to highlight?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we got some things going on I'd love to highlight. So here in downtown Minneapolis, we've got some activity happening around the core here. We're sort of coming close to the conclusion of the North Loop Green project, which is
Mhm.
the large project popping up over the Twin Stadium down there. Working on that one for Heinz Development, and that's a really a cool project for us to be a part of. Really proud of that one to have our name associated with such a neat project there. Doing some different projects for the Sherman Group, Ladder 260, O2. Also working on the North Star project for Sherman, which is an office to residential conversion, which we hear a lot about in the headlines and things. And so that's an interesting one as we're learning more and more about the reality of converting office to housing with Sherman on that one. Outside of the downtown core, we have a couple casinos that we've landed as well. So we have a casino project out in Nebraska and another one in North Dakota. Some sizable, larger scale casino projects that we're leaning more into that. We've done some casinos in the past. It's been a little while since we've gotten back into that, and so it's nice to see those becoming a reality and starting to come out of the ground a little bit. What else can I tell you? The school, we have a robust school business as well. And so we had 11 referendum wins back in 2023, which will lead to projects here in 2024 and beyond. So that was a very successful referendum season for Kraus-Andersen in 2023. So we'll see those start to become a reality. We also have down in Rochester, we're completing a Cub grocery store and wine and spirits store. And that's a really an interesting one from my perspective, where it may just appear to be a grocery store, but it's one where our development company was the developer, will be the owner, will manage the store, and we built the store. And so that's a little bit of that's the family of companies integrating, collaborating in a very meaningful way. So that's an exciting project as well. And
Mhm.
then we've just pushed down the old Montgomery Ward's building down at the Southtown
Right.
project down at 35 and 494. That's an
Mhm.
asset that's been in the Kraus-Andersen portfolio for a long time, and I think we would all agree that it's in much need of the next idea. What's next there? And so we're starting to make some steps towards seeing what's next and making the next chapter, come to life. So that's an exciting one as well.
Nice. Yeah, I look forward to seeing that project move forward and develop. And sounds like you've got some big plans there, so that's great.
Yeah, you and me both. I feel like what I'm looking forward to is when I'm driving, down 494 and I have to tell my children to divert their eyes so they don't have to look at that big empty building that their father's responsible for. Now I can say, look, we're knocking the building down, everybody. So even the kids are starting to get excited about that one.
Yeah, you had the Toys R Us there, and that was just kind of it sounds like you're going to open up that site more now and just
Yes,
create more
exactly.
opportunities. So
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. What I guess is your overall outlook for construction in the coming year? You mentioned some things, some school projects, your conversions, which certainly seem to be a thing now. But I guess what do you see as some of the opportunities and challenges out there?
Yeah, thank you. I think I mean I don't know if this is just a 1 year, maybe beyond, but there's certainly opportunities and challenges and maybe in all of these concepts, but sustainability is a big one. We're talking a lot about that, and then it's becoming more of a requirement not only from cities and sort of governmental entities, but clients are looking for higher levels and more understanding of sustainability options. Certainly DEI progress. We're continuing internally and with trade partners, trying to continue the good work on perpetuating, more DEI inclusion in our industry. Technology is a factor. How does artificial intelligence impact the construction business? Construction is an interesting industry in that technology, there's been some attempts along the way, try to develop Sam the bricklayer so that Sam, the robot can come and develop, lay all the bricks. Well, that didn't work so well. So, technology and construction is an interesting one, but I do see opportunities there as well. There's a workforce shortage in our industry. And so trying to bring more education, and more, I guess, acceptance maybe into choosing this as a career path. We find a lot of folks come to this as maybe a second option later on, and I don't know it needs to be that way. There's a great career path here, and I think maybe we can try to do some things to help with that. But more specifically on opportunities, interest rates are a big issue for the construction industry, for the macroeconomic state of the world, but certainly impacts us in a significant way. What my understanding is there's 3 more cuts still coming. I'm not sure when that's going to happen, but we're all waiting to see how that shakes out. But that has a big impact on how our business flows. We have multiple market sectors that we operate within, but sort of if you try to boil it down really into 2 categories, one category really impacted by the interest rates is more of the investor-driven client, someone who's looking for a return or a yield on their investment, and interest rates are a huge factor in that calculation. On the user-driven side, folks who are looking more for the functionality of the project and less so of the return on the investments. Certainly, the interest rates are a factor, a major factor, but it might be that the square footage has to shrink in order to provide the use that the user is looking for, as opposed to we're not going to make that investment because I'm not going to achieve the return I'm going to achieve. So as the interest rate goes, it's good to be diversified and good to have clientele both on the user and investor side of the world. And I think we'll just have to see how interest rates shake out and what impact that may have as those two sort of general areas of our business may be impacted. So, yeah, it's tense out there, but we feel very fortunate to be busy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, great. Well, Peter, you've covered a lot of ground there. And anything else that you'd care to add before I let you go?
No, thank you for your time, Brian. And I feel so blessed to be sitting here talking to you and have this awesome responsibility. It's something I've been planning for a long time. The company's been preparing for a long time. And it's really fun to say it out loud and now be able to sort of share with the world what the plans are. But I appreciate the time and look forward to continuing to work with you and look forward to bring the company, into the future. So appreciate your time today.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. Good luck in your new position. Look forward to staying in touch and have fun at the ball games.
Yeah, that'll be the goal. Yes, you too.
Yeah, yeah. I get more nervous than my son is when he goes up to bat, I think, but you know, it's all good.
I know that drill. Yeah, you're sitting there trying white knuckle in the chair, hoping it all goes okay, but hey, that's part of
Right.
the process, right?
Yes, sir. Have a great day. Nice chatting with you.
Thanks, Brian. Nice to chat with you too. Take care.
Take care.